On this week's episode of The Riff, Martz and Drew continue their discussion on the 5 H's. I hope today won't just be helpful, but also hopeful. You'll get that joke about halfway through the episode. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to another episode of The Riff, and we are back. And I didn't even let Drew sit down as soon as you walked in.
Is that really what's happening right now?
I'm starting right now.
Let's go.
Absolutely.
I'm going to close the door.
We're not wasting any time. But Drew, I did want to ask you something before we even talk. We haven't even said hello yet. You notice anything different about me?
I see a mustache.
Well, but no.
Also, your Mahomes jersey in post-football season.
You didn't have to. Well,
it's off season.
Absolutely, but I rep them all season.
Yeah.
That's it. Because
true fandom.
Because I'm hopeful.
You are hopeful.
That's what I am right now.
Yeah.
I'm very hopeful that one, Patrick Mahomes is going to be ready for the first game.
He'll be ready.
Oh, okay, good. I'm glad you think that. Two, I don't think we're going to have one first round draft pick. I think we're going to have two.
Why?
I think we're trading Trip McDuffie.
Well, you could.
You know, I find interesting.
Is that like on the rumor mill right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and dangerous to put it in a podcast form.
It is. We might be late breaking news.
When this drops,
it may have already been done.
It may not have, and then we look like
fools.
Exactly. But I noticed that you aren't wearing your Broncos jersey.
I'm not. No.
You just okay.
It's off season.
You only support them in season. Okay, I see. Are you looking up?
Wait,
the news?
Did they already trade? They traded.
Did it happen?
They happened.
Did it already go through?
How did you know?
I haven't even checked my phone yet.
How did you know?
I saw it as breaking possible news.
Sources: Chiefs trade top cornerback McDuffie to the Rams.
Wow. This this is a normal episode of Riff right here. So I'm glad I hope everything's recording. I hope everything's going. But hey, I don't even want you to. I want this to be so off the cuff.
Off the cuff.
So off the cuff.
All I can look at is your one bite taken out of beef stick right behind you.
As you talk, I'm going to bite some more.
Do it.
Okay, but
right.
I just at least need to get you going. I need to warm you up to move you forward.
I literally walked in the room and he hit record and we just started going. No hellos or anything.
No,
let's roll.
Well, we're saying hello now.
We are.
But I'd love to know. Okay, we're continuing on our H's. We only have 2 left. And we've hit hungry.
Yep.
We've hit hustle. We've hit humble.
Yes.
Big fan of all 3.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Yeah.
Maybe the biggest fan of this one.
Hopeful?
It's something you got.
Something you got.
Give it to me.
Hopeful. So here's what I think about hopeful. Again, 5 H's for us is, so if you're going to, like North Pointers are always trying to build in every North Pointer the 5 habits. If you want to be in the team, we're looking for the 5 H's. By team, I mean like, obviously staff, but also like core volunteers, people who like we work with a lot. There's a lot of folks who give us 5, 10, 15 hours a week just because they love the mission and love the church and want to help. And like, it is awesome. We're always looking for the 5 H's. So hustle, humble, hungry, hopeful. Hopeful to me is, I don't like Eeyores.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I'm with you.
Yeah, Debbie Downers. Do you know who Debbie Downer is?
I love Debbie Downer.
Wah, wah. It's probably not going to work.
Look to the camera.
You know, and obviously, like, you want good feedback. You want people who are going to poke holes in things and planning and all that stuff. But like a general, just like optimism and like hopefulness and what if God does? What if it does work? Like, what could happen? Like, what's our best case scenario? Like, those are things I like. That general demeanor, to me, is valuable. And it's people who are thinking through like, okay, we're going to shoot for the best case scenarios. Some people start planning it like what's possible, and then they generally come up with something that maybe is slightly better than what we did last year or whatever. But I always like to work, like I like to tell people like start at ridiculous and work back to reality. So like the wonder conversations of like, what if we could, and it's like having like the yes and person instead of the no but person. Like, no, we can't, but you know, here's why. And you need reality people in the room, but like when you're brainstorming or like wonder, it's like, hey, how do we like what is the craziest possible outcome? And like what's a crazy idea that might work? And most of those ideas get shut down for feasibility at some point. But it's like if you start at what's possible and then try to build something great, you normally get kind of okay. If you start at ridiculous and then slowly work your way back into reality, normally you end up with something pretty good. Like that's pretty cool.
I love that thinking. So it's more than just putting on rose-colored glasses and saying I'm positive and happy all the time.
Totally.
Although I enjoy that, you know.
Yeah.
But it's not just like everything is awesome, okay, all the time.
Living in denial.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's more to that. And I think our tagline underneath is let's be raging optimists, but I think the name nails it. It's hope. It's hope. Hope is better than optimism.
Yeah.
Hope is this understanding of kind of how you talked about it. It's like what could.
Yeah.
Like this is obviously we've all got reality in our lives, and we're going to be smacked with reality. And very rarely can you be a part of a team that's like, okay, for the next 5 minutes, let's throw that out the door and let's go with what you talked about, the ridiculous. And you've done this in a meeting before, which I think has allowed us to kind of, no stupid ideas, no stupid questions. There are some, let's just be honest. At the same time, it is this like, you can immediately shut down a crazy idea because of feasibility, where somebody else, it sparks something in them to be like, well, okay, but I do know somebody who owns this and could bring this, and now we can make this. And it's all of a sudden like, well, I almost didn't say that.
Right.
And now you did, and it provides an opportunity. And I think in those meetings, any way to kick things off with not an immediate how, but like, wow. Okay, tell me more. How did your brain come to that conclusion? Generally, even when you do things like that, it opens up conversation. It opens up creativity versus have I thought through every single angle? I'm a little even nervous to throw this out there because I know it's going to get shut down. It could just provide the best possible result. And when everyone wants the best possible result, the best possible idea comes to the table.
Yeah. No, yes, very well said. I think if you create an atmosphere where if creativity and out there ridiculous stuff is immediately shot down, and it's like people are made to feel stupid for even suggesting such a thing, you will kill all the good ideas in your organization. Like you'll kill all of the good because it's like, well, and then ultimately if everyone's just trying to figure out what you want as a leader, then you're not actually getting what they want. And then you're assuming that you actually have a monopoly on the good ideas, which you don't. It just goes back to humble, which is like, hey, there's actually gold in the hills of your team always. But like, yeah, the hopefulness when you invite that and stir it up and don't shoot. And even then, like sometimes teams will come up with ideas I don't even like love, but they're pumped about it. I'm like, cool. What I'm actually pumped about is you're pumped.
Yes.
And so like, that's like 80% of what I want and 20% this feels a little off to me, but it's like, hey, you're all in on that. Like I'd rather have people who are all in on ideas that are like mostly good in my opinion. And that's also how you learn as a leader. Like, man, I wouldn't have thought about that, but they thought about it differently. And that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah. How do you move from, maybe you do have more of an ER personality, right? Maybe hope doesn't come natural for you. And you would look at the 5 H's and you're like, I think I'm humble. I know how to hustle. I'm hungry to grow. Even spiritually, I'm hungry to grow. But I'm a realist and I live in that world, right?
Yeah.
Maybe your numbers and data, maybe you're like that's just the way your brain thinks. Maybe you're a 6 on the Enneagram and you're always looking at the fear or the bad thing behind every door. How do you move from an ER to somebody that does have hope?
I think, I mean, it's, I think you have to acknowledge one that you are. Like that's always the first step. It's like acknowledging, I'm
not.
Yeah.
But, wait. Yeah. If you immediately said, no, that's not me. Maybe consider again.
It might be you. Yeah. It might be you. Yeah. I think if you like self-awareness is a big deal. Just understanding, I have a tendency to be maybe negative. We've talked about this before, but the difference between being critical thinking and a critical spirit, right? Critical thinking is just thinking through the numbers and data and like trying to make smart decisions. Like we need people making smart decisions. A critical spirit is when you're just looking for the no in everything. It's like you're kind of cynical, negative, critical. I was actually talking to Kyron earlier today. He's our Springfield students pastor, and he said, it stuck with me, I think. He said that if you have, oh my gosh,
you're
I wrote it down.
No, you're nailing it.
I wrote it down.
By the way, hey, if you didn't butcher it, we wouldn't be able to eat it. So
you know what I mean? Know what I mean? He said this: if correction isn't wrapped in love, it's just criticism. I was like, that's actually a great point. Like even like, so if you're that Eeyore, or like you're a highly like facts driven person, you're like, well, that won't work for these 5 reasons. And honestly, normally really smart people, like high IQ people, are normally really quick processors and can poke holes in things super fast. I would say like just slow down on saying what you're thinking, especially in those meetings, like, and let things play out. See where it goes. Like don't jump off don't jump over the bridge and shoot the idea down immediately. Let it go and see what happens, And then like when you get to a place, like ask, instead of saying it won't work because, say, have we considered this? Or how would we mitigate this risk? And so you're actually creating a how would we, how could we conversation instead of a why we can't, why we don't, why it won't, because you still want that same person with the creative thinking or like maybe the overly optimistic, the pie in the sky, or like, who's that person? Like, we can all think of that person who's always got some harebrained idea where you're like, what in the world are they thinking? It's like, you want the best out of them still. And they've got a God-given gift to create and innovate and think about things differently. So I don't know. I would just think, one, be aware that you are. And then two, just slow down how quickly you jump off into like cut things off, So
I even like this idea with my kids.
Great example.
Like your kids, they hear the word no probably a lot. No. And you're quick to, can I get another snack? No, you've already had, at the same time, it's just as easy for me to be like, yes, you can. Do you want an apple or a banana?
Right.
Like, let's just rearrange what the name snack means. But there are so many things that they're going to have ideas or they're going to say things and you have initial knee-jerk reactions. And it honestly is a good muscle to flex of patience, of, quick to listen.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be quick to respond. Hey, why would you want another? What if we, like those types of words are so great because a lot of times it's not even what you say, it's how you go about saying it.
Right.
Because if your immediate no, you do like people will stop bringing you ideas.
Yes.
And if you are the leader of something,
yes,
you need the best ideas, and the best ideas probably aren't going to come from you. They're going to come from people that are either in front of customers, in front of people that are actually doing the job that you're trying to help be more efficient at. It is fascinating.
I think if you're a leader too, your goal is not to have the best ideas and be the smartest person in the room. And a lot of times, especially young leaders like that, they think, well, now that I'm a leader, I'm supposed to have all the right ideas. They must have hired me because I'm the smartest person here. Newsflash, I didn't, and you're not. And it's like the best thing a leader can do is create more leaders. Like the best thing a leader can do is impact and influence and grow more people. And you do that by letting people succeed and fail. Yeah. And so I think if you can find because if you don't do that, then your entire team is walking around wondering, well, what does John want me to do? And they're looking, then you actually have to come up with every idea. And that's exhausting because everyone's trying to do is just make you happy. And you've proven that you don't want their ideas. You just want to control the situation and control the decisions. And so then you have a whole bunch of people walking around and you'll probably get 100% of what you want, but you'll get maybe 75% of the heart of your people and 75% of their effort. So if you can create an environment where good ideas win and where and then be quick to credit that idea to somebody else. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, this is like, oh, that's awesome. Like, hey, that was John's idea, or whoever's idea it was. So that they are continuing to credit. Like, so I say this all the time, but you'll never look bad making your people look good. And so making your team look good. And so if you can always create those hopeful moments where people have great ideas, they execute them. And even then, like, maybe you didn't love all of it, but call out the good in the things so that you're fostering more of what you want, which is a hopeful team that's thinking about best case outcomes, ways of doing it different. Like, North Point has kind of this maverick DNA, I call it, where it's like we're never been afraid to go left when everyone's going right. You want to foster that. You want to foster innovation. You want to make teams that are curious and bold and hopeful. Well, then you have to encourage those things when you see them, which is, kind of ties back into you can't be the no. What's that Jim Carrey movie? Was it like Yes Man or Yes?
Yeah, and he has to like say yes.
Yes.
All day. He can only say yes.
Yeah. To every opportunity that comes his way. Yes. Would you like a hot dog? Yes. Mustard? Yes. Yeah.
Double size that? Yes. Which I love. I love what you're talking about because it really is the long-term play.
Yeah.
Because the short-term play is let me bring you in on the answer. The long-term play is if I actually want to grow you, let me bring you in on the process. And the process is messy. The process is
brilliant.
A million ideas, right? Yeah. And it's putting up a whiteboard and here we go. And how did you? Because if I really want to understand how Drew thinks, I need to understand not just the answers that you can come with your polished answer of, hey, this is what I've decided, but I want to know what you wrestled with. I want to know what you're thinking through. I want to know how crazy were some ideas, how uncrazy were some, and how did we get to this spot, right? And whether you're dealing with finances, whether you're dealing with relationships or hard conversations, leadership, being brought in on that process, actually, you're right, it develops another leader because it helps someone think the way you think.
Yeah.
And it's not just the answer that you came to, it's the process that you got invited into.
Yeah. Yeah, you said that really brilliantly in one sentence up front. What did you just say? You're like the process versus the
I've already forgotten
answer.
it.
It was good. Rewind.
invite him in on not just the answer, but on the process.
Yeah, totally. And that's the thing is you want to elevate people's thinking. Like great leaders cause people to think, feel, and want at a higher level. And it's like you bring them into that space. And it is like the greatest thing you can do as a leader is create more leaders. And that in a microwave culture, that's a farming idea.
Ooh, like
everybody wants to microwave quick. And it's like, yeah, the quickest thing to do is just make the decision, tell everyone what they have to go do. But a farmer would be like, hey, I'm going to invest, I'm going to plant a seed in this person over the series of months and years. I'm actually elevating the way they think. And for most of us, the leaders who did that for us are the ones who are the most formative to our development. It was the leader who brought me into the room and like I had to see like how the decision was made or my input was considered like before maybe people should have. Those are the leaders who had the greatest influence on my life. And I learned how to think about things at a different level. So
yeah, walk me through that process. So if I pulled that string, unpack that a little bit, like you weren't always the leader that you were, that you are now. When you were starting this, were there a couple practical things that you had a leader above you, or you read somewhere, or you just tried with a team that worked, that then you're like, I'm going to pour gasoline on this. I'm going to keep doing this to produce ideas, hope, positivity, just a good culture.
Yeah. I have a lot of leaders that over my life, there's a bunch of names pop into mind. One of them is, I had my boss, Dan at T-Mobile, who's a VP. He oversaw a region of like 6 or 7 call centers. He's a Boston guy, straight shooter, East Coast, but he eventually started when we had this whole process on Mondays where we had to read out our results from the previous week, and it was cutthroat. It was, you better have an answer, But he would ask me tough questions. Sometimes he didn't even care, like how he was sharpening me at every turn. So with my peer group, I'd have to read out on all of our metrics for the week, but he would ask me hard questions. And sometimes he didn't even need to know the answer. He was pushing on me until he could get me to a point where I would have to say, I don't know. And then he wanted me to come back the next week with a better answer. And he would just let me know, hey, like next Monday, know the answer to that. I'm like, cool. And so there was a pushing on me that sharpened me up to think about things, because he didn't just care about the result. He cared about how I thought about things. He was sharpening my ability to be a strategic thinker, and he was sharpening my ability to know my business and why. And he was sharpening my ability to be able to communicate it in a way that made sense up. So he taught me how to manage up. And so then what happened is over time, because he would, we'd all read out to him on a Monday. Well, then he would go up and read out to our C-level executives right after that meeting. And so we were giving him everything he needed to know about his region, so that he could go and speak to it as a whole. And so over time, what I realized he was doing is he wasn't just busting my chops. He was actually trying to ensure that he understood his business well, because he had trained me to know my business well.
That's so much trust too.
Yeah. And so then but then he would leave. If he was on vacation, he started tapping me to take his seat, right? Where it's like, hey, you're going to run our regional call, and then you're going to do my process. You're going to show up to the C-level call and read out to our region. And so I realized that as he was busting my chops over stuff, he was actually sharpening me to think about things better. And this might not fall great into the hopeful bucket, but that process allowed me to think about my business completely differently, because then I had to go, when I had to speak to C-levels and I started to see the questions that they're asking, what do they want to know? What is on their mind? They're thinking at a whole nother altitude strategically for the business and the company. And so when I got exposed to the questions they're asking and things they're talking about, I was like, oh, wow. It made me lead my little call center here in Springfield way different, because I'm like, now I understand the strategic levers. I think in terms of altitudes, I was flying at 10,000 feet. My boss is at 20,000, sea level's at 30,000 feet. You look at the wind of an airplane, it's like the world just looks different from a different altitude. And from 30,000 feet, they actually want to know what's going on at the 10,000 foot level, because they can't see it as closely. But they need good information to help them make 30,000 foot decisions that impact everybody. And so when I really started understand that process, it made me lead better, it made me think better. It made me sharpen my team members better, because I realized oh, this is how we all got to be thinking for this, So I think that was a process that he brought me into. And it was just our Monday mornings. And he told me one day, he was a not a big words of affirmation leader. He told me good job once in 4 years I worked for him.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Trauma. But Dan, I know you're worldwide listening to this right now, but he taught me, he told me early on, he's like, Drew, if you're doing a good job, I'm going to give you more money, more responsibility, but don't expect many good jobs from me. I'm just not good at that. He also, like, that for me was very helpful, because while I'm a words of affirmation guy and I would appreciate a good job more often from him, like, he started when he tapped my shoulder to cover for him when he was gone, that was my affirmation. And he told me, this is how you know you're doing a good job, is I want you covering for me because you get it. So I think, but it was like trial and error shaping my thinking along the way, allowing me to fail in front of him, to sharpen my saw, so that when I needed to step up to a bigger table, like, he knew I was ready to go do that. And so that may not fly straight into the hopeful funnel, but like, that's an example of someone who like taught me how to do that. And so for me, I've always learned from that. Like, he took me places he was. And it's like discipleship, right? And like, the church overcomplicates the concept of discipleship. It's simply taking someone where you were going to go anyway. It's like, hey, I was going here anyway. Do you want to come with me? Yep. And like, for the disciplee, like, if you're the younger one, whether like spiritually or age-wise, like, go catch up with someone who's where you want to be and go do what they're doing, and you'll learn from being with them. And so it's like, those three phases of, hey, watch me do it. We're going to do it together, that I'm going to watch you do it. That simple process is like that, whether you're learning how to change a tire, be a better husband, read your Bible, have a prayer life, read out to executives at a wireless company. Like, it's the same process. And I think to me, that's my story.
And you kind of have, I don't know if this is an ism or not, but you mentioned the leave no sunshine on your seat, which is kind of what Dan was doing for you.
Yeah. And that's where I got it from, is Dan. When I wanted to move on to a different role, I wanted to move into like a lateral position. He said, hey, like, at this level in the company, like, he said, there's no sunshine on your seat. So I'm not going to allow you or permit you or even refer you or give you a recommendation to go do that role until you can tell me who you have trained up to be ready to take your job. He's like, until I feel good about that person, I'm not referring you, because the most important thing you're actually doing as a director in this company is growing more directors, which is why I always think that way. I'm like, I actually have to grow more people, because success without a successor is failure. So you have to have, like, you've got to have that. And so, and that was my thing. And so for a year and a half, we had this process where we would just corporate America is a little more cutthroat than churches, where we just throw names on a table and my peers be like, who's ready for the director role? And you always, no matter what your career is, if you work in a company, unless you own your own business, even then this principle applies. Your name will get talked about in rooms that you're not in. And people will make decisions about what doors will or will not be open to your future in rooms that you're not in. And so, like, you have to build reputation, you have to build character, you have to be excellent over time. And so for me, like, that was a room that names were tossed around in, and I had a couple guys working for me that wanted my role. And so I really invested in them in a way where I'm like, okay, I need to get these guys ready. And so I did the same thing Dan was doing to me. I'd be like, hey, you're taking this, and I started pushing them harder because I knew what they wanted. And I got to a place where we sat in a room and like, who's ready, right? And the top two names on the list were two people that worked for me. And Dan looked at me, and that was my green light. He was like, cool, you did exactly what I asked you to do. No sunshine on your seat. I agree. Those people are ready to move into your seat. I think now you can move out and we won't miss a beat. Like that all to me, like, is important. So, and again, why he was pushing that into me, like, it's because the best thing a leader can do is create more leaders and raise the capacity and capability of your team so that you can be removed from the thing and it doesn't miss, So that's a big thing for me.
And I really think, even when it comes to hopeful, you've got to choose optimism. You've got to choose growth. You've got to choose abundance over scarcity. Like, it is a form of thinking that you might need to shift in your life. And I remember I had it was one of my first bosses who I was doing a lot of projects for him. He was a very, very head in the sky thinker.
Yeah.
And had all these ideas, zero technical knowledge, and I was the one who pulled off the technical knowledge part. It was so frustrating.
Are you talking about me right now?
No.
Because it kind of applies too, if we're honest.
No, but he was probably like 60 and I was 22, and I'm just like, technology doesn't even work the way you're talking about right now.
Yeah.
I remember.
Like, I don't know, man. Use AI.
Yeah, we didn't exist back then. I wish it did. But I remember we had like 3 phone calls in a row. And my very first, he'd have an idea. And I was like, no, we can't do that. Yeah. I just remember he called me back after one of our conversations. And he was like, hey, I just want to let you know, the last 3 conversations we had, you started off like answering my idea with no. And this is why it wouldn't work. He's like, man, it just kind of makes me feel like we're not on the same team.
Wow.
And he's like, hey, would you mind if we tried this thing again?
Yeah.
I was like, sure.
Yeah.
And so he hung up and he called me back.
That's awesome.
I was like, what a...
I like that play.
Dude, it made me feel seen. Like it didn't make me be filled with like guilt and shame of like, oh my word. It was just like I am on your team, man. Yeah. I am. And I think that there is a way that I could approach this differently than just, and I think there's a little bit of no, because I'm like, I got to do the work. No, I don't want to do that work.
Right.
And there's a reality of that. But even when you talk about, hey, your name is going to be talked about in other rooms, I promise it. Yes, it matters what you're doing. Yes, it matters your outcomes. It also matters, like your hopefulness matters in that. It totally is how you make people feel, how you empower people, how you empower ideas. All of it is connected.
Totally. Even like that's when you said he called you, hey, you make me feel like we're not on the same team. Even though you're like, we are, that wasn't my intent.
Totally.
But like a non-hopeful demeanor, non-hopeful attitude,
you're
default
against
to pessimism.
Me, you're
like,
sideways to me. You're not actually helping us move the needle forward on this mission.
Yeah, you're sucking air out of the tire. Like it's just, and it may not be your intention.
It wasn't. I didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
I was so unself-aware.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's like, it's who do you want? People don't want to work with pessimistic people, and pessimism and being a realist are very closely connected. And if you are the person who's like, well, I'm just realistic and no one else around here is, maybe that's true, but it's like, there is an element of like, okay, how do you position it? How do you frame it? How do you not suck the air out of the room? How do you not kill the creativity at the same time? And
I think even when you came in this role, we're at 100 days ago.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
About that.
Like chaos is contagious. Calm is contagious.
Yeah.
Pessimism is contagious. Optimism is contagious as well.
Yeah.
And like you coming in, yes, I understand there's stresses. There's things you don't know. You don't have the answers. Like legitimately, we're looking for you for the answers. And you're like, I'm a couple days in. I don't know the answers. But there is this hopeful demeanor that it's like, that's contagious. And regardless of where you're at, regardless of what position you hold, regardless of if you're a stay-at-home mom and this is with your kids, these H's are contagious.
Yeah.
And when you're able to model them, people pick that up and they do that. I think it's said it's caught, not taught. And like you model it and people notice. So Riff, go be hopeful today.
Hopeful. Spread hope.
Hopeful. Hope-filled.
Hopeful.
Hope.
Why do you say that?
What are you saying? What way?
Why do you say that way? We should go make some artwork for Hobby Lobby that says
hopeful. I like that. That's great.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Riff. We'll have a brand new episode every week, wherever you find podcasts.